Close the door.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Patriots 3 Life, Liberty, Pursuit of Happiness. And here's your hosts, Tim, Matt, and Cam. How y'all doing tonight?
Doing awesome.
Well, unfortunately, I didn't realize we're actually going up against the California gubernatorial debate right now. I'll talk briefly about that, but that definitely this evening we're going to be talking, or today we're going to be talking about movies, television, pop culture, stuff like that. Conservatives' involvement, and movies that conservatives are putting out, and what's happening with all that. Definitely give a like, share, follow at Tim Holliday TV. That's TIMHOLLIDAY TV. We're on Facebook. We're on Rumble. We're on YouTube. We're on Twitch TV, and it's iHeartRadio, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. So, California gubernatorial debate. Wow, what a huge act that is, in my opinion. There's only one person that's talking about, the Constitution that's running for governor in California. Everyone else is just an act. In my opinion, it's not a waste of a vote if you vote upon principle. I was briefly talking with Matt here earlier about that. Where's Matt? There's Matt. That way. But so that's just what I feel strongly about. So, do your homework, California, and bring back the Constitution to the state. So I'm going to give a quick shout out to Nurse Kimberly Overton down in Tennessee with our Remnant Healthcare. There we are, Remnant Healthcare. So that's remnanthealthcare.org. Take control over your health and visit remnanthealthcare.org. And I'll drop that link into the comments in just a moment. All right. So I accidentally popped up a graphic. So let me bring that back up here really quick here. And we'll have Matt talk about this briefly, and then we'll get into it a little further. So Matt.
Yeah. So OP7, The Horrors of War. It's a book written by a good friend of mine from the Marine Corps. It's a fictional wartime horror story about an Army infantry squad in Afghanistan that goes up against a supernatural being called the Jinn. And I read it a while back. A good friend of mine who's in the industry in Hollywood, he does line producing, was asking like, hey, what kind of material what do we want to do and everything like that. So I brought this up. It's a pretty good idea. So I hit up my friend, and did a handshake agreement on the option rights for it. And what we're trying to do is make it into a movie. We got a lookbook together and everything like that, but we're right now we're self-producing it until we get something bigger and better, studio and everything like that. We have a screenplay in the works.
Fun.
Yeah, it's fun. It's a lot of work, but it's a work of passion. And the reason why I brought it up, Tim and I were talking about this the other day, is that Hollywood, if you talk to the average person who consumes any kind of Hollywood, whether it's TV or film, there's a blanket complaint of we need material. Hollywood's out of ideas because you get a lot of reboots, you get a lot of milking the cash cow. Like for example, you've got Avengers, you've got this, and you can only go so far with so many things.
Yeah,
and so the problem that we're having though is that conservative media, there are conservative, and I won't say conservative, there are projects out there that have a good pro-America, pro-family, just a good wholehearted message, whether it's love story, horror story, or whatever. It has a pro-American message to it, a pro-family message to it, something that's nothing's being injected into the movie. Right. And there are projects like that out there. I'd like to point out, like Angel Studios, even A24, and Daily Wire, to their credit, has put out some pretty good movies. However, the problem that we're having though is that guys at Daily Wire, like Jeremy Boring, for example, he wants to put his name on it. Daily Wire wants to put their name on it, and movies like Reagan or Sound of Freedom get immediately discredited by the mainstream media and the not reviewers. What do they call those
Critics,
people?
critics.
Yeah, by the critics. It's like, oh,
Yeah.
this is right wing propaganda, MAGA crap, blah 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 blah, and they dismiss it and they destroy it because they have the power to do that.
Yeah.
And so,
Sure.
what my friend and I are trying to do is put pro America, pro family, just good quality entertainment back into Hollywood.
Yeah.
The problem that we have though is that the conservatives of Hollywood who have money, who have influence, they don't want to get involved because it's too dangerous.
Wow.
And we're offering a path forward by anonymity. We're nobodies, or you know what I'm saying? So it's very hard right now to get a lot of this content out there because you have gatekeepers, so to speak. You've got your typical Hollywood gatekeepers who want to put their messaging forward with injected it with all kinds of social justice stuff and all that jazz. But then you have your conservative gatekeepers as well because they want to be in charge of putting it out there, but they also want to make sure it's branded accordingly. It's like we need to stop branding stuff accordingly. Just put forth projects that tell a good message that don't have anything involved. We want to be able to put forth a project into the theaters, for example, and you watch that and you not knowing at all what kind of messaging got put. Like the average movie that you see right now, if you go say, perfect example, the new Star Wars, right?
Okay.
Right.
There's a lesbian character in there. They make it a part of that. They make
Wow.
it. They make some kind of. Like Disney, for example. Everything has to have this. They have to check the boxes on what kind of character it is. It's a
Wow.
minority character, or it's
The
it's
machine.
a gay or lesbian characters or trans character, something like that. We
Yeah.
want to be
Wow.
able to watch a movie and not have any of that occur
Yeah.
and
Wow.
leave there completely satisfied and maybe feeling a little bit better about your country.
Yeah.
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 It's
So,
not much to ask. Yeah, it shouldn't be that hard to ask for sure.
and we talked about a book that was, to my understanding, it wasn't the highest of budgets because they were independent as well. That was John Schneider, and the movie is called To Die For.
Mhm.
And that was really hard for him to push out. Advertisement had to go out like 8 or 9 months prior to the release. And it's, definitely a very difficult thing to do.
For sure. And I know that Sounds of
extraordinary.
Freedom, we waited like 4 or 5 years for them to finally release Sounds of Freedom.
Well, I mean, I'm guessing on how long it took, but
yeah, it was a lot of pushback for a long time on that
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah. And unfortunately, Jim Caviezel, for one, after he did Passion of the Christ, he was immediately labeled as he's a right winger, he's a Bible thumper, and everything like that.
Yeah.
Whereas he just has values, and he's not projecting his values on anybody else. He's a good actor, and he's a good producer because he has skin in the game.
Yeah.
Another good example is I forget the actor's name, but he was on Yellow. He's on the movie Homestead. He's the father of the property.
not
yeah.
Kevin
Well, actually,
Costner.
no.
Not sure.
It's
I don't watch TV anymore.
so there was a movie out in a series called Homestead. Here, let me look it up real quick.
Okay.
The actor is known for Principal.
Okay. Well, let's just,
Gordon-
talk a little bit about TV shows. We got Roseanne Barr. She's, completely a Donald Trump supporter. Tim Allen is a conservative. He doesn't boast about Trump, but he's definitely about teaching moral values and, more on the conservative side of things. Mr. Tim the Tool Man there.
Oh. Here we go. His Neil McDonough.
Okay.
Neil McDonough. But this is the best part about it. So you go to Wikipedia, and first, this is how the movie's described: American post-apocalyptic Christian drama. Religion is never mentioned in it. Never once.
Wow.
Never once is it mentioned in it. But because Neil McDonough is an actor of principle, now you watch some of his interviews, and he'll tell you he will not do a love scene. He will not do a sex scene. He will not kiss any woman other than his wife.
Good.
Period. If any if he's married on that film, they will never kiss. They will never have a love. They will never have a sex scene, anything like that,
Good.
because he has respect for his wife.
Good.
And
That's the way
because
it
of
should
those
be.
principles, the critics label it as Christian, pro-Christian, everything like that. That is the gatekeeping that keeps good content like that from
Yeah.
getting broad mainstream look.
But I mean, just putting any labels behind that, it should be labeled a moral man. Yeah, or a more. This is morals. Yeah,
Morals and principles.
yeah. That's
That's it.
For sure.
And
I don't
again,
know.
like you can describe that as it is a pro family,
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
family values,
Right.
everything like that. And you can have a family value. Doesn't matter who the character is
Right.
or what they what they identify as. You can have a good family value as long as it's a wholesome family value.
Yeah.
But immediately it's labeled as far right propaganda, Christian
Sure.
all that
Wow.
stuff. It's like, come
Because
on.
for sure. The reason for that is because everything is so inclusive that it just includes Christians or people who keep the traditional family value because that's what's taboo now.
Yeah.
No,
Unfortunately.
it absolutely is. And another case in point is the actress from Devil Wears Prada. I
Yeah.
can't remember her name.
Oh
Um,
gosh. I can see her
Anne
face, but
Hathaway. Anne Hathaway.
okay.
So she was interviewed for the Devil Wears Prada 2, the sequel that came out,
Yeah.
and she was complaining about the lack of inclusion of black female actresses, like people of color and everything like that. And so she purposely put those people in the film so they can get representation, but she kept herself as the main character. She didn't step aside for somebody else. So
Right.
it's virtue signaling. It's virtue signaling. It's all this virtue signaling. Just
Yeah.
it's tiresome.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like you're fighting against the propaganda machine, honestly. If you go back and look at where Hollywood has its roots in, the people that set it up and the reasons for it, um, the ABC committees that are committed to integrating themselves so that they can have more of I guess, a hand in what the masses see and how they view it. And if we start seeing more things in the theaters that are pushed to us that give us a better look on family values, that fixes a structure that they're currently trying to break down right now. So it goes against their narrative.
Yeah,
And
and
that's
more
That's
than just the
that's exactly what we're trying to do. So
yeah,
both of our projects, we're doing another project too that I told him about. They're independently financed and independently produced. So we're trying to produce and do this ourselves. Now, because my friend is in the industry, we have connections within the industry, like distribution rights and all that stuff,
yeah.
and that's not going to be an issue. Now, we can look to history as far as Hollywood is concerned on projects that were independently produced that were wildly successful. And one of the OP7 in the lookbook, we do market research and everything like that. So like we compare horror movies side to side, as budget, what the budget was for the film, and then what their gross was made. And one of the prime examples that we used for this movie was God bless it, I just went blank. It's a Blair Witch Project.
Okay.
Okay, so Blair Witch Project. Do you know how much their budget was for
Very
no,
that film?
little. I could actually tell I was going to
$36,000.
I was taking film classes during that when that movie came out. And I'm like, this is so college rated. It's ridiculous.
It broke records. Its
Yes, it
budget
did.
was $36,000, but it grossed over 300 million.
It had clever
There was a
advertising.
300%
yeah,
return on their investment. So
wow,
it is very clearly it is possible to do this.
Yes.
The problem that we're having though is again getting the conservatives with money to put up or shut up, because on one side the rich conservatives who have the money and the influence, they go on the news networks and they complain about the very issues that we're talking about tonight,
Yeah.
but they don't invest their money where it should be, because again, you can put your money into politics, but as we can all attest to and we can all agree on, I think, is that politics is not giving us a return on our investment. If we give politics $1, we're going to get taxed 50 cents.
Yeah.
We're not going to get anything back. We're going to continue to get milked for our money. And so we're trying to tell these people, stop investing your money into politics and start investing it into people like me and my friend who have these projects, who have these things ready to go.
Yeah.
Help us produce them.
Yeah.
Help us get these out. Sidestep all the studios. We can get a deal with Amazon Prime as a distribution. It can be released on. We can skip the theaters and just put it on Amazon
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
Netflix and all these other streaming services, and we can make money doing it that way. People will consume it.
Right. Yes.
So there is ways to go about it and just bypass the system in general. But again, you have to put your money where your mouth is, essentially.
Right. Right. And then, there's a lot of good conservatives out there, putting stuff out. Like we mentioned Passion of the Christ, that's Mel Gibson.
He bankrolled that film himself.
I mentioned
100%.
Tim Allen and Roseanne Barr. There's also Rob
Yeah.
Schneider as a comedian.
John Boyd.
Yes. Lots of good people
Yeah,
out there.
there's lots of them out there. I just wish that they would get more involved in yeah, I sound selfish when I say this. I get it, and in part of there is a partial selfish, argument to be made for this. But stop giving studios stop working with Daily Wire, and I don't mean that because Daily Wire is a bad entity. What I mean is Daily Wire and their movie studios under Jeremy Boring, they do put out good, again, Reagan and Sound of Freedom, great movies, right?
Yeah.
But you insist on putting your name on. You insist on identifying yourself with that movie. If you would just stop doing that, and you would put a no-namer on it, and work on a different way of getting your distribution rights, it would have done so much better, because nobody is looking for a dog man, because there's no dog man attached to it. So we have to look at it for what it actually is. And it's like, if you just start doing that, we can get somewhere in Hollywood.
Yeah. No, I totally agree with you. I mean, having that, you call it a dog man, but having that header name, and that frontline name, so to speak,
You can still make money off of it.
Yeah.
Like the thing is, if Daily Wire makes a movie, and and it's going to be, they're going to budget, $50 million for it. Start up an LLC, give it some dumb, stupid name, have them have your LLC produce it. You're taking completely off it, and you're still going to make money off of it. You're still going to get rich off of it. Everybody's going to get paid, especially if the movie does well.
Yeah.
Just do that.
Right.
And again, that will break the seal. That will start to break down the barriers that are put in place.
Yeah, so have a headline name, which is an LLC, like On the Wire Films or something like
or
that.
Something has nothing to do with it. Yeah.
Imaginary name there, fictitious.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's out there or not.
Like Drunken Smurf LLC. What the hell is that? I don't know, but they made a movie.
Sounds funny. I'll go with it.
That's my nickname, so we'll
go
with that.
All right, I'll roll with it.
Story for another night.
Right. Oh, the stories. No, we'll keep that off the camera.
It's a wholesome story.
Okay, good.
It's nothing special.
Good evening, Story. Good. I'm glad you joined us here.
Hey.
Yeah, so just a reminder for everyone to like, share, and follow on Tim Holliday TV. That's TimHolliday TV, no spaces. And you can find me on most any social media platform, also on Rumble and YouTube. Good old Facebook pulls the videos after 30 days, so I don't suggest to follow. I mean, follow there, to watch it live, but it's not like a permanent place for the videos, such as YouTube or Rumble. All right, we're getting back to where we are now. So,
rabbit hole.
Right. Oh wait. Oh well. Let's talk briefly about the other graphic they gave to me. Colder Than Hell. What does the rest of it say?
So this project actually has a really special place in my heart. So as you can see, it's a best-selling book. It's a book that was written by the platoon commander of a Marine mortar platoon commander in my unit in the Marine Corps, 1st Battalion, 7th Marines. And it's a story of the Korean War, on how his unit got activated. They went over to fight in the Korean War, mainly the Battle of the Chosin Reservoir, which was a very significant battle during the Korean War. Um, and it was called Colder Than Hell because the battle was taking place during the dead of winter in North Korea, which was bitterly cold, into the negatives. And they had to fight through. So I'm going to brag here, okay? So
Go ahead.
as far as Marine Corps goes, the Battle of Chosin Reservoir was one of our biggest successes. We had one Marine division and an Army brigade combat team, but mainly we're going to talk about the Marines here for a minute.
Go ahead.
One Marine division took on 10 Chinese divisions. They were outnumbered 10-1,
Wow.
and we annihilated the Chinese. Yes, we got kicked out of the Chosin Reservoir. We fought a rear fighting action. One of the gods of the Marine Corps, Chesty Puller, was interviewed. He's like, "How do you feel about retreating?" He was like, "We're not retreating. We're attacking in a different direction." And they did, but they lost a lot of guys. We bled a lot for that battle. But again, we annihilated 9 of those Chinese divisions.
Wow.
We
That is
kicked
amazing.
their ass.
Wow.
This book tells that story. So what we're trying to do is develop a series that is very similar to like Band of Brothers,
Oh,
the
wow.
Pacific, like a limited series, 9 to 10 episodes to tell that story.
Wow. That'd be amazing to see.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds
Yeah, I saw
fun.
some of that series, Band of Brothers, and definitely amazing. Yeah, that took place after was Saving Private Ryan was the popular movie, and then Band of
Yeah.
Brothers came out right around the same time. And
Yeah. It was based off
definitely,
a book by Stephen Ambrose.
yes, yeah, and both the series as well as the Band of Brothers, and Saving Private Ryan. Whew, yeah, I heard some veterans are not able to watch because how realistic it was. Same thing with
It
Band
was
of Brothers
actually,
too.
and that did, that movie did very well because it came out, I believe, in 96, 97,
Yeah,
or around that time.
roughly yes.
World War II veterans were interviewed, and they said they actually liked it because they got it right. It was like it was that real. That's exactly
Yes.
what the hell they went through.
Yeah.
So that's what we want to do,
Yes.
because the main thing behind Colder Than Hell is we're having a discussion about it because he's got some projects that he worked on independently before we got together. As far as the Korean War, there, besides MASH, and a recent movie, I believe in like 2019 or 2020, is called Devotion. Those are the only 2 projects. There's the TV series MASH, the
Yes.
movie MASH, and Devotion. There are very little projects, movies, TV shows about the Korean War.
Yeah.
And it truly lives up to its unofficial name given to it by the American public during the time. It's America's Forgotten War. Everybody forgot about it because after the Korean War, the Vietnam War took place,
Right.
and that kind of overshadowed everything we did prior to that, except for World War II. So the Korean War, I'm doing it for the Korean War veterans, and because they truly were forgotten.
Yes.
Yeah.
They truly were forgotten. So this I want to do for them.
God bless you, brother. That's
Right on.
something else.
Yeah.
That is something else. All right. So, Cam, we have some rabbit hole stuff here you want to talk about a little bit. Well, we can't go too far down the rabbit hole because this is a huge subject, and we might even have to go into a part 2 on this stuff here.
Yeah, I don't even know how to integrate this. This is such a good talk. Yeah, that's amazing. I don't know, as when I hear about Hollywood studios and, conservatives and things like that, it's just
All right, let's just
they
open it
gotta
up.
be
It's
listened.
like this huge CIA op, it seems like. And it seems to be the same with the television as well. We've all heard of Project Mockingbird. It's just
Right.
this repetitive thing over and over again. And we talked about earlier, like recycled movies. We see a lot of recycled TV as well. And there's this like
For
huge
sure.
narrative about sexualizing things, and not just
Yeah.
television and movies, but it's also in the music too.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, there's like really, what do we do? We turn
Well,
on
I mean,
the
that
Christian
and the
music
people
and
that were involved to, building it ground up when it comes to Hollywood, or how our politics are going,
Yeah.
space, NASA, all of those things. It's just, it almost takes the hope out of, people like you, Matt, who are trying to do a good thing trying to give us, people who are more into conservative values, a way out, so to speak, of all the things that are going on. And can definitely see and understand like what the pushback is to the different things like that, because when they lock so far into a certain narrative, rather it be Hollywood or other things, it's just hard to get out of that grind that they push. What kind of like funding and things are you guys looking into or have already to like accomplish these goals that you're talking about? I'm just curious.
Yeah,
Is it
so
like donor?
as far as Colder Than Hell is concerned, that's actually a very easy push. Um,
Yeah,
because I want to do Colder Than Hell, I want to do it right. I want to make sure it gets the same quality as Band of Brothers did, and the Pacific did,
right.
and those. Ideally, I want to sell it to Amblin Studios. That's Spielberg. They
Yeah,
they did Band of Brothers and everything like that. I want to give it to them. So because because I want it done right, I don't want to independently produce this. I want them to take it. So basically, what I would do is I would sell them this pitch. They would pay us for the rights to the book. They would buy the rights to the book from us, and then we would be listed as executive producers on the project, and they would run with it. They write the screenplay. We wouldn't basically we're just that we sell them the project, and they produce the project on their own. That's what I want to do because again, I want to do it right. I lack the nor the financial backing to make sure it gets done correctly.
Yeah.
would you still
OP7
do
is
it
different.
would you give creative liberties away? Would you still do it if they integrated all the things that you were talking about earlier, to push?
I could ask so
We lost some audio somewheres.
oh sorry, I didn't want to cut you
There you
off.
are.
No, you weren't.
So with Colder Than Hell, it's a little difficult because it's all
Mhm.
about what the studio is willing to work with you on. I could go in there and say, hey, look, I got this project. It's this book. This is what it is. I happen to be a former Marine myself in that unit, obviously decades apart. I could be your full advisor. They could let me on in the project in that role, and I could have some input in how it's done. However, I don't see that happening at all,
Yeah.
and I'm not upset about that because I don't know if you know who Dale Dye is, but Dale Dye is he's a very, very, very famous military advisor. He was a Marine himself, and he formed the company that specifically trained the actors. So Dale Dye got his break in Platoon. He was the company commander in Platoon
Okay.
for Oliver Stone.
Okay.
He started that company for that movie, and he trained all the actors. From that point on, he established his company in any movie that did something as far with the military, and he was brought on as that he took all the actors and put them through, Hollywood boot camp and got them ready to portray soldiers or Marines in the proper way. So, like in Band of Brothers, for example, Dale Dye was Colonel Sink.
Okay.
That's Dale Dye.
Okay.
So he trained all of the people that were all of the actors, whether they're main actors or background, whatever. They went and trained through him. I trust him to do that right. So I don't want to sidestep him. If they don't, again, I can ask to be involved in the project, but again, with all of the resources they have, they'll probably say like, "We're good. Thanks for the project. We'll pay you your royalties. Have a good day." And I'll take that because again, at the end of the day, I can take those royalties and invest in another project that we can do ourselves.
Well, I have a curious question here for you, Matt. In 1996, Bill Clinton signed a new FCC Act back then. I heard about this, roughly 10 years after. Wait, maybe 20 years after. It affected the music industry in a great way, in a terrible way, actually. Do you know if that has affected the movie industry in regards to that act?
I don't know. I'd have to look at what
The language?
what he
Yeah.
did
Okay.
specifically.
I want to put the
I don't
link
know.
into the
I can't
comments.
honestly
So
answer that question.
yeah, I want to put the link in the comments and I'll put it in the show description. If the audience wants to chime in, go ahead and leave a comment. So yeah, I'm curious if you knew of anything of that. I heard about it in 2009, I believe. When
Do
I
you know
heard
what
about
it did specifically
it.
or generally?
Well, Well, one of my friends had mentioned is this, it made it extremely hard for just, an average musician to go to a radio station. Here's my latest, recording. Can you play it on your station? I don't
Uh,
believe that that is allowed anymore.
okay,
So,
so in a way, yes, there are kind of rules like that in Hollywood,
okay.
and it's all about unions.
Oh,
So prime example is, so I've got a couple of friends of mine who are in the industry. They're writers,
yes.
right? And they are union members.
Okay.
The union strictly prohibits them from doing anything independently.
Oh, wow.
They cannot do it.
Wow.
If they do it, they're penalized for it. Now they can find a project on their own and they have to be paid union rates. Like, hey, if we find something, whatever, they have to be paid. And then, as far as that goes. So
Okay.
yes, there are kind of limits, not the necessary limits, but kind of like speed bumps, if you will.
Yes. Those are some
You got
big speed
SAG
bumps.
AFTRA, you got the Screenwriters Guild, or this I can't remember their union name, whatever. So like producers, directors, they all have the same thing. If they're non-union, that's why the SAG strikes, from a couple of years ago, that's why they were so bad,
Yeah.
because there was a point in time several years ago where there was the last major strike as far as a SAG went, SAG AFTRA, and actors were like, you know what, screw it, I'm out of the union, I need to work.
Yeah.
And so they started, and that's when actually good things happen, because they're like, you know what, screw you unions, Paramount, all these people, they're like, screw it, we're going to go with non-union people, give us what you got. And next thing you know, you got um, all these TV shows that are wildly successful because of the strike, and they went behind the union. So now they've negotiated that. So if you want to get any work done by either a director, a writer, or a producer, or anything like that, be prepared to be stonewalled by the union in how they operate. If they're non-union, we can get a lot of stuff done independently. But if they're
Yeah.
union, there's a lot of things not to say it can't be done, but there's a
Right.
lot of things that we have to do to get it done.
Right. Okay. Yeah. And there was a strike about 3 years ago. And was that a similar outcome?
Oh, the writer's strike.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, first was the actor strike, then the writers were kind of the way the strikes go in Hollywood is when one union strike, the rest of them will follow suit because they want to get that same deal, but also because they all work together. Writers, producers, all of these people, they work together. So when one union strikes, they stop working because they want to see what happens with that one, and then vice versa.
Yeah.
So they all support each other, in that aspect. But then again, if the strike goes beyond that, union members tend to work independently. They'll drop out of the union to get work, and then they'll come right back.
It sounds like nurses union strikes. Goodness.
Yeah.
Terrible.
Amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So let's
It
go
is.
a little
It's
further
really
down this. Oh, go
Go
ahead.
ahead.
Sorry, Matt.
No, we're good.
All right. If we're good, let's go a little bit further down the rabbit hole. Cam, what do you got?
Yeah.
What do I have? I don't know. I feel like I'm stepping on your toes. I don't want to be like
Hey,
like a black
I'm in a
cloud
wheelchair,
in this
so
project.
I'll run toes over, so you're not stepping on mine. I'm in a wheelchair.
Yeah. I don't know. I just feel like conservatives and Hollywood, as much as we're trying to like mix and mingle, I don't know. My views on it is like the way that we've come so far and all the compromises that we make. It almost feels like as a conservative, as a Christian, that supporting the whole industry, even just a little, even dipping your toes in it, is like it feels like a moral compromise. I think for some people, a lot of us. I don't allow my kids to have access to certain things or certain movies, and you have to like utilize all kinds of things now to filter even the TV shows that are rated G, or you know, because of so much propaganda, and it's more, you know, it's past just, oh, they make money off of it. It seems like from the beginning, when the politics of it, or the alternative thinking of it, or even down the rabbit hole into like, witchcraft and Satanism, and it's like how deep you want to go. Can we as conservatives support anything from Hollywood?
Well, even on some of these
Yeah, I
TV
think so.
channels with the commercials. I mean, the commercials are just, this terrible propaganda that leads, parents and children down the wrong direction.
For sure, yeah.
Again, another reason why I don't watch TV, because it's programming.
No, it absolutely is. It absolutely is. And Cam, you're spot on. To answer your question though, we can't give up on Hollywood. We have to not necessarily recapture Hollywood. We have to work around them and do that enough to where Hollywood listens like, hey, look, okay, what we were doing for the last 20, 30 years, it's not working anymore. Because these projects are getting a lot of traction. They're wildly popular. We and it basically it's going to be a long process. Don't get me wrong. This is going to be a very long, laborious process, but
Yes.
it can be done. So I don't suggest like giving up on Hollywood or like boycotting it entirely. But like what I was trying to say earlier, the more of us that band together and say like, hey, I know somebody who has a really good project. If you like, say, Cam, if you know somebody that I don't, that say, you know what, has some connection to Hollywood, the more that we talk and spread this information around, we'll
Yeah.
start networking and we'll start coalescing and we'll start working together and everything like that. And these are people that you may not even know that they're in that industry or they're in like, and I hate to sound, again, I hate to sound selfish or anything like that, but like, hey, if you got friends with a lot of money, just ask, like, hey, how would you
Right.
feel in investing in a project? How would you feel? Like the perfect example, OP7, right?
Okay.
If I want a screenplay, if I want someone to write a screenplay for that,
Uh-huh.
and maybe I find a writer that is very interested in the book. Now, here's another union rule. I can't give this book to a union screenwriter to read it. He or she has to come about it their own way and enter in an agreement, and that's when the money starts changing hands. But again, let's just say somebody who's got $20,000 that's burning a hole in their wallet, right?
Okay.
I can take that $20,000 and give it to a union writer and have them write a screenplay.
Okay.
Done. That's a huge hurdle that I need to get done. If I go to a studio, say like I go to Warner Brothers with OP7,
Yeah.
say, hey, I want to get this movie done, and they say, what do you got? Right now, all I got is the rights to the book and a lookbook. But if I can get them and say, hey, I have the rights to the book, I have a lookbook, I have a screenwriter with a screenplay attached and a director attached, they'll be more willing to work with me then because I have two very critical things done. I already have a screenplay written and I have a director attached. That's huge.
Yeah.
So if I can go to a company like that and say like, I already have these hurdles crossed for you, they would be way more willing to work with us. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. It does.
But I think my question would be, say these blocks all fell into place, right? And you got the things that you needed to line up. And then they're like, oh, this is awesome, Matt. But we feel like the main characters needs to be someone that you feel like that doesn't fill the spot in the way, but they're doing that because politically the narrative right now would be better for them. Would you be willing to give over those rights and go with it just to get yourself out there?
It's so yes and no. With OP7, because I'm I'm doing all the work. My partner and I, we're doing all the work and everything like that.
Yeah.
We still have creative control. We're not giving it up.
Good.
We're just like, hey, if going to Warner Brothers, whatever, I'm mainly going to them for the financial resources to, the studios, sets, camera equipment, all that stuff like that. They're going to pay for that. And then they might have their own writers who want to look over it. And again, we don't relinquish creative control. So if they go like, hey, we have a second draft for the screenplay, take a look at it. And it's like they've injected whatever we're concerned about into it.
Yeah.
It's almost like, Shark Tank coming to you instead of you going to Shark Tank.
Yeah, but again, though, we still have, we can look at it and say like, hey, no, I don't like this, or hey, you know what, I won't die on this hill. Like, say for example, I have 10 characters, 5 main and 5 background. If they go like, hey, we want to make one of the background, this, depending on that character's involvement in the story, I mean, yeah, screw it, go for it, right? Or I'll be like, no, that's actually a pretty important background character. I don't want that, messed with.
Yeah.
So there's ways that you can appease the powers that be, but also still maintain the core message, and it's not going to do anything to your message. Does that make sense?
That's kind of the problem, though, like for people like the consumers who think like I do, because
100%.
it doesn't matter how important the background characters are, they can steal the stage sometimes. And if you're like, hey, we have this guy that is doing these awesome things that you want to convey, but then like they decide to add like, oh well, he needs a best friend to kind of get into these scenes, and the perfect person we have is this trans, like,
Yeah.
or this whatever. I know it, like, people are
Yeah.
like, but
Yeah. No,
I'm not gonna want to. I'll be like, there you go again. They
get
probably
what you're
had this
saying.
perfect. So it's like, are you or anyone who has this mindset of we need to get in there, we need to change, we need to have a genre for ourselves that is almost protected so that we can start feeling more inclusive, like, and more included.
You
We
have
have a
to.
lot of people who are just willing to just cave to get into there. And that's how we have the system that we have, because unfortunately, there's not many people who are willing to stand their ground, so to speak, because they don't get hurt.
Right. No, you're not wrong. What I'm saying is we still maintain creative control. And
Yeah,
again, if if they inject a character or alter a character in some way that does portray some of the things that you're talking about, but it has zero impact on the story, zero impact on how the story is portrayed. If they are non-influential, right, then you can consider it to stay. And the reason why I say that is because you will not win the war by total annihilation right off the bat. You need
sure.
to work incrementally within the system to get established. If
Yeah, I
you
agree.
push too
Yeah,
hard, if you push too hard too soon, you're going to lose the battle, and you're back to ground. You're back to square one. But if you can do some fighting along the way and say like if you're going to say, hey, we have 10 things that we have 10 social justice issues that we want to inject into there. If you can whittle it down to 2, that's a win, because 10 or 2, are you going to notice the 2? Maybe. Are you going to notice the 10? Definitely. Definitely.
Well,
Because like I will go into a movie right off the bat and I will see it. That like think my kids a couple years ago we went to see the Transformers movie, whatever, and I knew it right from the get go. There's
yeah,
minority character, there's this character, whatever, that it's clear. I was telling my wife, I'm like, do you not see this? It's like it's in your face. Now, again, if they come back and say like we have an idea, or not an idea, like we'd like to do this, if it's not in your face, if it's a forgettable thing and it's in the background, then I don't see necessarily the harm in it, because again, I have to start small.
yes,
And then, because if I get established, if and when we get established, then we have ultimate control and we won't have any of those issues.
right,
But I can't do that going in as a nobody.
right.
I have to
right,
tread very carefully into it. It's just like a spy, right? You can't infiltrate something and completely change everything, because you'll get caught right off the bat. You have to
right. Yeah,
incrementally. It's people say that a lot in politics. You can't change the system overnight with swashing things, and to a certain extent, they are correct. You got to take your small victories, small battles, small battles, small battles, and they get bigger and bigger and bigger over time.
Yeah.
So what I would say to you and to others like you and I'm included in this. Patience. Have patience. Trust the
It's the
process.
first new.
Yeah, because again, like we're gonna get
Patience
there.
virtue.
We're gonna get
Yep.
there.
I get that.
But you have to you have to play chess. You got to think the long game, and you got to start. You got to pick your battles. You know what I mean?
For sure.
Well, Rome wasn't built in a day. That's for sure.
Case in point. Case in point.
There it is.
But I believe everything that you're saying, Cam. You're not wrong. You're 100% correct. But again, like we gotta start.
Yeah,
Work our
I
way.
was asking, not that like I wouldn't go see the movie,
Oh,
even if
no, yeah.
social justice. It's just changing the system, altering the beast as it is. It seems so.
The system didn't change overnight. It took little increments to get to where it is
I
today.
believe different. I believe the system was put in place right from the get-go for certain agendas.
Well, I'm talking about where movies and television and
Yeah,
music,
me too.
where it is
Yeah,
right now. It
Well,
took
yeah,
time.
Hollywood was pro-America, pro-family for decades. For
Yes.
decades. It wasn't until a generational shift when the country started changing, with the baby boomers in, the 60s and the 70s. That's when it started to change.
Yeah.
So again, like this wasn't the Hollywood now was not designed to be this way.
Right.
It was never designed to be this way. It was taken over and it was slowly changed. Because look at it this way: the culture war again. The culture war has been a war since the 50s. People
right.
think it's something brand new that started in like the 90s or the early 2000s.
No, yeah,
It
no,
started in the 50s. You know, the left didn't take control of our schools overnight. They started in the 50s,
yeah,
slowly, and nobody noticed
right.
it. Nobody
Yeah,
noticed it
no, it
until
was.
now.
Yeah, well, Hollywood really became like the movie capital of the world pretty much by the 20s. So it took what 30 years for them to create an agenda, and I feel like that they started with some of the same thought process. A lot of the people who were involved, if you go and kind of dive and do some history, but I don't think that America was ready at the time to really get taken on the ride that they kind of want us to go down. So I think that, yeah, it wasn't until the 50s and the 60s when these different movements were happening. But I also feel like that there was a lot of nefarious people who saw that as a way to control a populace and mold them in certain directions.
I,
Um,
I won't I won't
yeah,
deny that. What I'm saying is it's Hollywood changed when the culture changed. Hollywood changed when the country changed. And the country changed in the 50s and the 60s. The culture did.
yeah, I agree.
And
I just feel like
and
that
Hollywood went along
Hollywood
with
was
it.
used as a tool to kind of bump that change. And the agenda was always to get us as a people to be complacent, to be weakened, to be infiltrated,
Well, yeah,
unfortunately.
of course.
Yeah.
Ultimately, you have to look at entertainment as a whole is
Right.
kind of like a psyop. Like
Yeah.
what did they say? Like in ancient Rome, put on the games and people will forget their problems.
Oh yeah, the breads
We
and
have
circuses. Yeah.
professional sports and everything like that. But again, though, yes, there's some truth to that, but also too, sometimes we need a distraction. Sometimes we just need to be like, you know
For
what?
sure.
The world is on fire. I need some entertainment. I want to laugh before I die.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Agreed.
So we have to take everything with a grain of salt
Yeah.
and be much more. And again, this drives to your point. We need to be much more vigilant on what we consume, how we consume it, but also we need to organize as a movement to start correcting.
Yeah. Or
And
at
you
least,
can't,
yeah, or at least have some options there. Because
yeah,
I'd never be the one to like chain like, hey, you can't do or watch or say or be a part of this or that. Autonomy is one of my biggest I'm an advocate for, but I definitely agree that there is for for the big push of inclusion, it's mighty crazy to think that there's not a place for people who are wanting to see and enjoy things in a certain way. So that's so sad.
Well, let's be clear. I'm all for inclusion. I'm
Oh,
all for
I
inclusion. I would
know.
love to
Yeah.
include this rifle into a lot of my works. I want to include a lot of good stuff in my work. So there's a it's a play on words. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I hear
Well,
you. Right on.
Yeah.
Is there any room for Chris Tucker?
Always. Come on. Always.
I'm just
It's
throwing
all
out
it's
there
all
for
about.
funds, but yeah.
Well, Matt, when you get where you're trying to get, I did some acting in high school.
So did I actually. I did theater.
Yeah, I did theater too. Yeah.
I hung
Nice.
around with the music crowd next to the theater department. I ran audio for some classes. We all had our entertainment in one way or another.
We're a part of the system.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So we still got a few more minutes left. Anything further to add outside of our world has gone crazy?
Well,
Yeah, I'm excited for your project, Matt. I definitely
thank you so much. Yeah.
email
It's
me,
definitely
look me up
laborious.
so I can keep tabs on you, watch your work take off.
You can follow me on Twitter. I'm sorry, on X. My handle is Matt of Mystery.
Nice.
So I'm dropping the link in the comments here, and I'll put it in
Okay.
the show description after. Let me bring it up on the screen for everyone who can see.
Yeah.
There it
I don't
is.
have a large following. I've only got like 600 followers, and everything I post is maybe seen by like 5 people. But you gotta start somewhere, right? So,
Right.
um, all the
Tim, you
both those
follow, I'll be
projects
number
are,
7.
huh?
I was telling Tim he follows and then I'll be number 7.
Well, Twitter permanently banned me after I had you, Cam, on as a guest, and this is kind of part of the reason. I made proper disclosure of everything that
And
was.
I didn't even say anything that bad. I haven't even got started.
So then we were helping promote an upcoming book that Cam is I believe is in the midst of writing. So
I am.
yeah, tell us a little bit about this.
Well, this is a project that I'm working on to include Patriots of the last 10 years, 2016 through 2026, of people who have really dedicated their lives of getting in there and trying to make a difference from their different backgrounds and beliefs. There's so many little things that we can get involved in, so it looks different for everyone. And I want to add to our history so that we're not forgotten. And that right there on the front is my buddy Christian Yingling. He's done a lot of patriot work I'm pretty proud of. So
One heck of a good guy. I like him.
yes, he is. Good old George.
George. I'll tell that story off screen, but yeah, anyways.
Yep.
But yeah, so yeah, and we're
working on
talking
that.
about.
Yep.
Good. That's really good to hear. So yeah, we're in that show, and I believe good old X took it a little out of context, and I still believe Jack Dorsey is behind the scenes on Twitter, as I'm calling it now. There was some mention of the militia in that show, and we said we're not promoting or anything like that. In fact, there was even a little talk against some points of the current state of militias. But all I did was post the Rumble link and a short show description, and I got banned. Permanent.
Yeah, I tend to have that effect on people. They're like,
get
"Get this girl out of here."
All right, I'm here to help.
Yeah, well, I mean, I have 11 children, so it's a slow going process. So,
so unfortunately, Cam, I cannot follow Matt, and you can't follow me following him. So that's the whole little show behind
I'll be number 6, Matt. I got you, buddy.
Excellent. So, but I'll go ahead and send you the link in a little bit here, Cam. And
sweet.
Let's see. Trying to think if there's anything further outside of again, part of this crazy world. And I did all my disclosures. Honest to God. And yeah, I still got banned.
With all that said, I'm super stoked for Young Washington that's coming out this year.
Oh.
Have you seen that one? I hope they do it. I hope they do a good job. They're not. Don't make me sad, Matt. Do you know something I don't know?
About what?
Young Washington, that movie that's coming out?
No.
I don't.
Oh.
Wait,
I
you live
don't.
closer
Sorry.
to you live closer to Hollywood than both of us.
Yeah,
I'm in the
no,
Midwest and Cam's on the East
it
Coast.
I'll look into it. It's all about who produced it, who wrote it,
Yeah.
all that stuff like that.
Well, I'm an M. Night Shyamalan fan for some of it, right? However he's pronounced.
Right.
And Christopher
That's
Nolan.
right.
Don't ruin
Okay.
it for me. I don't want to know about his politics.
So Christopher Nolan, as a director or anything like that, I think he's one of the best out there, only because of the work that he does behind it. Using
Yeah.
sets and not relying a lot on CG and all that stuff like that. But it's really disappointing on the new movie. Again, we touched on it throughout this whole talk. The Odyssey,
Okay.
right? Helen of Troy is now a black actress. It's like, why? Helen of Troy was the daughter of Zeus. She was a fair-skinned,
Yeah.
blue-eyed, like.
Yeah.
So it's kind of disappoining in
I
that,
didn't know
again,
that.
to your
That was
point,
the other movie
Cam.
I was gonna say I'm excited
Yeah,
for.
I'll probably see it,
Yeah.
just because,
You
but
know what? It's funny because like I'll be like irritated and then I'll end up and I'm a movie buff. I am. So I love watching some of these movies and if it's a good actor comes across. But then on the other hand, it's like exactly like why do that? Like that's one of those really important details because then you lose the history in that. It just doesn't jive.
you
It doesn't
do
make sense.
when you're trying to make a movie, especially a movie about history, you have to be historically accurate. You can't
True.
have,
Yes.
you know what I mean? If you're gonna make a movie about Vikings, they're white, they're Scandinavian.
Yeah.
Don't make them anything
It's
else.
like
If you're
making
gonna like, you wouldn't put a white actor as Martin Luther King, would you?
right. I
But
was gonna say
why would you do the opposite?
it's like
It
making
doesn't make
Roots,
any
but
sense.
then getting Brad Pitt casted for it.
Yeah, I don't understand stuff like that. I
Yeah.
really don't.
It's like buying juice now made with 10% fruit juice. Yeah.
Yeah. But
Whole new subject. Whole other rabbit hole there.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where's our food coming from?
Yeah, that's a bigger discussion. Wow.
Big food. There's
Yeah,
big
the big
pharma,
food.
there's big food, there's big insurance, there's big everything.
And there's big monsters out there. We'll just put it that way.
Yeah. Including big government.
Well,
Yeah.
absolutely. Absolutely. So with that note there,
a good friend of mine, Chuck Pierce, said there's the party of big government and there's a party of bigger government.
Wow. Yep.
True. That is true.
You look at government, who is responsible? What party is responsible for the biggest expansion of the federal government since Jimmy Carter? Bush.
Yep.
Department of Homeland Security. Patriot
Oh,
Act.
okay. Bush Jr.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a Republican.
Yeah.
So Republicans are not the party of small government. They're the party of big government. The Democrats are party of bigger government.
Right. Yeah. So on that note there, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go ahead and, well, I'd love to further this conversation. It sounds like further down the rabbit hole because, yeah, I would love to get into this now. There is always next week. Yes. So definitely tune in. Matt's going to be on now on every Tuesday, ladies and gentlemen.
Yay,
on
Matt.
Tim Holliday TV with Patriots 3, Life, Liberty, Pursuit of Happiness. So make sure to follow.
Very happy to be here.
Very glad to have you on board as a permanent.
Yeah.
This is wonderful. Good stuff.
That was fun.
And be sure to tune in on Thursdays as well. So we might be winging it this coming Thursday. Well, stay tuned to find out because we had a slight shift in our schedule, but we'll definitely have somebody on, or we'll be winging it. One of the two.
Anybody.
So go ahead and like, share, and follow Tim Holliday TV. That's TIMHOLLIDAY TV. That's on YouTube, Rumble, Twitch TV. Try to get some of those video gamer kids in, and of course, Facebook and Spotify, iHeartRadio, and Apple Podcasts. So until next time, ladies and gentlemen, ciao for now.
Have a good night.
Have a good night, guys.
Shut the damn window.